Jessica Olson.
And I'm Simone Schaefer, and welcome to the Simone and Jessica's newscast. Sometimes with Katie, but not today. Today we've been covering World War II in commemoration of all the men and women who died during the war. And right now we're working on the Lend-Lease Act and learning all about that. So the Lend-Lease Act, or an act to further promote the defense of the United States, was issued by FDR to aid the Allies, such as Great Britain, Free France, and later on the USSR, in their fight against the Axis powers, such as Germany.
Mostly Germany.
Mostly Germany.
And others.
But mostly Germany.
We basically, a lot of the time, gave them a lot of weapons and supplies, along with, vehicles, tanks, guns, a lot of guns, to go so. The way we did that was,
From the United States, we sent weapons and supplies over on ships to Great Britain and others. And once they were there, Jess, why don't you tell us what they did?
well, we did a lot of stuff. We basically helped them win the war by giving them the weapons because they ended up going into a huge debt where we couldn't actually they couldn't pay for our weapons. So we ended up giving them a lot of weapons and supplies. And, in the end, they did give us some stuff in, return, and we did really discount them a lot. But, other than that, it was pretty simple stuff,
At the time, the price was almost $50.1 billion, which is equivalent to $656 billion in modern times. But like Jess said, we did discount a lot of that because the war was brutal, especially on Great Britain. This act was only issued right after Winston Churchill came out saying that Great Britain had almost gone bankrupt fighting the Axis powers.
And sadly, along the way, a lot of the money that we were supposed to get, specifically 4.5 tons of Soviet gold intended for our treasury, was actually sunk. Yep, it was sunk. We didn't get 4.5 tons of gold.
The program effectively ended the United States neutrality, and it was
Just go now.
Technical difficulties.
This program effectively ended the United States' pretense of neutrality in the war and was a decisive step away from the non-interventionist policy which the United States had taken to foreign relations since World War I. And just how did most of the American population feel about that?
At the beginning of World War II, we were fine with not entering the war. We didn't really want it because, we thought we would be affected until after we kept getting a lot of propaganda from the war saying, actually getting what's going on. So basically, the Lend-Lease Act basically put us really, she just said, one step closer to really entering the war because that basically put us as allies because we were only giving weapons to the Allied forces.
In the beginning of the war, most Americans didn't feel strongly one way or the other towards the Allies or Axis. They wanted to stay out of the war. The memories of World War I were still strong with the American population. But as the war grew, most Americans started leaning towards the Allied cause because of the injustices that they considered Germany was committing. And most of them did, in the end, support the Lend-Lease Act.
So yeah, basically, our little segment on the Lend-Lease Act for this cover of World War II, the Lend-Lease Act, U.S. gave supplies, weapons to Great Britain and others so we could help win the war and eventually us getting into the war so we could help aid them.
Thank you for watching our newscast, and when we come back, we will be covering the 4 freedoms.